You wake up this morning with that familiar weight in your chest. Another day stretches before you, filled with endless tasks, worries that gnaw at your peace, and questions that seem to have no answers. You look in the mirror and see someone who appears to have it all together on the outside, but inside there's a storm that never quite settles. You've tried everything: meditation apps, self-help books, even prayer that feels like shouting into an empty sky. But nothing seems to fill that aching void where peace should be. Subscribe to this channel so you won't miss more teachings and wisdom from Saint Teresa. Today is October 15th, and while most of the world goes about their business, the Church celebrates something extraordinary. Today we honor Saint Teresa of Avila, the Doctor of Prayer, the woman who discovered that the greatest battles are fought not in the external world, but in the hidden chambers of the human heart. She wasn't just a mystic locked away in a convent. She was a spiritual warrior who found, in the smallest daily actions, the path to union with the eternal. Her legacy echoes across centuries with words that can transform your restless morning. Let nothing disturb you. Let nothing frighten you. All things pass away. God alone suffices. But here's what makes today different from every other day you've lived through. The Church invites you to do 3 simple things, profoundly transformative things that connect Teresa's burning heart to the heart of Christ. 3 steps that can turn your ordinary Tuesday into a doorway to the divine. Are you ready to discover what a 16th century Spanish mystic knew about finding peace in chaos? Are you ready to learn why millions of souls have found in her teachings the answer to that restless longing you carry? Because what you're about to learn isn't just about honoring a saint, it's about revolutionizing how you approach God, love, and your own wounded heart. The first practice will challenge everything you think you know about prayer. The second will transform how you see the mundane moments of your day. And the third will invite you to a surrender so complete, so liberating, that you'll wonder why you spent so many years trying to control what was never yours to control in the first place. Saint Teresa didn't just teach these practices, she lived them in the furnace of her own struggles, doubts, and divine encounters. Today, her wisdom becomes your roadmap to peace. You've tried to pray before, haven't you? You've sat there, forming careful words, trying to sound spiritual, wondering if God is even listening. Your mind wanders to your grocery list, your work deadlines, that argument you had yesterday. You feel like a failure at the very thing that's supposed to bring you closest to God. Saint Teresa knew this struggle intimately. She spent years feeling like her prayers bounced off the ceiling, like she was speaking to an absent friend who had better things to do. But then she discovered something revolutionary. Prayer is not thinking much, but loving much. Today, on her feast day, she wants to teach you her secret. Stop trying to impress God with eloquent words. Stop worrying about doing it right. Instead, simply sit with Him as you would with a dear friend. Tell Him about your struggles, your joys, your fears. Better yet, tell Him about that gnawing worry that woke up with you this morning, that fear that follows you like a shadow. Here's what Teresa discovered in her years of spiritual friendship with Christ. God doesn't need your perfect prayers. He desires your authentic heart. She would spend hours simply looking at a crucifix, not saying anything profound, just letting herself be loved. A gaze that gazes, a love that understands, she wrote. Can you imagine? The Creator of the universe wants nothing more than to look into your eyes and see you, really see you, not the mask you wear for the world, but the real, struggling, hoping human you. Try this today. Find a quiet corner, place an image of Christ before you if you can, and simply say, Lord, teach me to love you as Teresa loved you. Don't worry about how long you pray or how holy you sound. Teresa taught that even a brief, sincere prayer is enough to rekindle the fire within. Your prayer doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be real. And in that realness, in that vulnerable honesty, you'll find what Teresa found. A God who has been waiting your whole life for you to simply show up as you are. Right now, as you go about your day, you're surrounded by opportunities for holiness that you're probably missing. You see tasks to complete, people to tolerate, duties to fulfill. But Saint Teresa saw something radically different. She saw each moment as a chance to love God in disguise. God walks among the pots and pans, she told her sisters. Every ordinary action done with love becomes a prayer. Every small kindness becomes a doorway to the divine. Teresa understood something that most of us miss. The spiritual life isn't found in extraordinary mystical experiences, though she had plenty of those. It's found in how you treat the cashier who's moving too slowly, how you respond when someone cuts you off in traffic, how you approach the pile of dishes in your sink. Today, in honor of Saint Teresa, choose to do something loving without anyone noticing. Help someone anonymously. Forgive an offense silently. Offer a sacrifice that only God will see. This is the genius of Teresian spirituality. She discovered that the shortest path to God is love without measure. When you do good and no one notices, rejoice, Mary and Teresa noticed. This hidden love is the most beautiful fragrance rising to heaven. It's in these secret acts of charity that your heart learns to beat in rhythm with the heart of Christ. Teresa knew that authentic love is proven not in grand gestures, but in the small, daily choices to serve without seeking recognition. Comment below, I choose hidden love today, if you're ready to commit to this practice, and don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom from the saints. But here's the beautiful paradox Teresa discovered. When you stop trying to be noticed by people and start living for an audience of one, you become more authentically yourself than you've ever been. Your actions carry a weight they never had before because they're anchored in eternity. That smile you give to a stranger, that patience you show to a difficult family member, that extra effort you make when no one's watching. These aren't just nice gestures. They're participation in the very love that holds the universe together. You're carrying so much, aren't you? The weight of decisions you need to make, relationships you need to fix, futures you need to control. Your mind races with scenarios, contingency plans, backup plans for your backup plans. You've been trying to be the architect of your own peace, the engineer of your own happiness. But what if I told you that the very thing you're trying so hard to achieve, true peace, only comes when you stop trying so hard to achieve it? Saint Teresa discovered this truth in the deepest chambers of her soul. Whoever has God lacks nothing. Today, she invites you to make an act of total surrender. Not the kind of surrender that makes you passive or irresponsible, but the kind that makes you free. Stand before a crucifix, before an image of Teresa if you have one, and pray with complete faith. Lord, take all of me, my mind to think of you, my heart to love you, my hands to serve you, my life to belong to you. This surrender is the secret of true peace. Teresa taught that holiness isn't the fruit of heroic effort, but of confident abandonment. Today, let God lead you. Give Him your past, all those regrets, all those what-ifs, all those wounds that won't heal. Give Him your future, all those worries, all those fears, all those dreams that keep you awake at night. Give Him this present moment with all its imperfections and uncertainties. Like Saint Teresa, live only for Him and be ready to die saying, God alone suffices. This isn't about becoming religious in a superficial way. It's about discovering that the God of the universe knows your name, counts your tears, and has plans for you that are better than anything you could imagine for yourself. Teresa found that when she stopped trying to control her spiritual life and simply trusted God to work in her, miracles began to happen. Not just mystical miracles, but the everyday miracle of a heart at peace. There's something stirring in you right now, isn't there? As you consider these three practices, praying like one who loves, acting with hidden charity, surrendering completely to God, something deep within your soul is awakening. It's the same fire that burned in Teresa's heart, the same flame that transformed a restless Spanish woman into one of the greatest mystics in Christian history. This isn't just about completing religious duties. This is about allowing God to set your heart ablaze with divine love. Teresa's path wasn't easy. She faced years of spiritual dryness, misunderstanding from others, even doubt about her own experiences. But she persevered because she understood something crucial. God wasn't asking her to be perfect. He was asking her to be real. He wasn't demanding that she have all the answers. He was inviting her to trust Him with all the questions. The same invitation extends to you today. You don't have to have your spiritual life figured out. You just have to say yes to love. When you pray today, even if it feels awkward or forced, remember that Teresa often felt the same way. When you choose to love in hidden ways, even if it feels insignificant, remember that Teresa found God in the smallest acts of service. When you surrender your burdens to God, even if part of you wants to take them back immediately, remember that Teresa struggled with letting go too. The difference is that she kept choosing to trust, kept choosing to love, kept choosing to surrender, until these choices became the very rhythm of her heart. You're being invited into the same transformation, not to become a cloistered mystic, but to become a person whose ordinary life is shot through with extraordinary love. Teresa proved that you don't have to escape the world to find God. You have to find God in the world. Every conversation becomes a chance to love. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for grace. Every moment becomes a prayer. Are you ready to let this fire transform not just your spiritual practices, but your entire way of being? Something profound is happening in the depths of your being. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle shift, that gentle stirring, that whisper of possibility that wasn't there when you began reading. Teresa would recognize this moment. It's the soul beginning to awaken from its spiritual slumber. She called it the first movement of grace, when God begins to draw the heart toward himself, not through force or fear, but through love and invitation. This awakening doesn't always feel dramatic. Often, it's as simple as a newfound desire to pray, a sudden softness towards someone who usually irritates you, or an unexpected peace in the midst of your usual chaos. Teresa taught that God's way of working in souls is often so gentle, so respectful of our freedom, that we might miss it if we're not paying attention. But you're paying attention now, aren't you? You're noticing that these three practices aren't just things to do, they're ways of becoming. When you choose to pray as one who loves, you're not just talking to God, you're allowing God to reshape your heart. When you choose hidden acts of charity, you're not just being kind. You're participating in the very nature of divine love. When you choose to surrender completely, you're not just letting go of control, you're discovering a trust so deep it becomes your new foundation. Teresa knew that these practices work on the soul like a gentle fire, burning away what is false and revealing what is eternally true. The woman who once struggled with distraction in prayer became the teacher of mystical union. The woman who once feared she wasn't holy enough became a doctor of the church. The woman who once wrestled with her own will became a master of divine surrender. This transformation is available to you too, not because you're special or chosen above others, but because this is what God desires for every human heart, to be set free from the prison of self-focus and liberated into the vast expanses of divine love. Today marks the beginning of your own transformation. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your soul as Teresa imagined it, a crystal castle with many rooms, each one more beautiful than the last, all leading to the center where God himself dwells. Most people, Teresa observed, never get past the courtyard. They're so distracted by external noise, so caught up in the drama of daily life, that they never discover the magnificent palace within their own being. But you're different. Today, you're choosing to enter. The first rooms of Teresa's interior castle are where we learn to pray despite distractions, where we practice charity despite our selfishness, where we attempt surrender despite our need for control. These rooms might not feel glorious. In fact, they often feel quite ordinary. Teresa herself spent years in these outer chambers, thinking she wasn't making any spiritual progress. But she was wrong. Every sincere prayer, every hidden act of love, every small surrender was leading her deeper into the mystery of divine intimacy. What Teresa discovered in the deepest chambers of her soul was breathtaking. God wasn't waiting for her to become perfect before he would love her completely. He was loving her completely while she was still struggling with imperfection. He wasn't demanding that she earn his presence through heroic spiritual practices. He was already present, already working, already transforming her through the simple practice of showing up and saying yes to love. This is your invitation today, not to become a saint overnight, but to take the first step into the interior castle of your own soul. Don't worry about reaching the center today. Teresa took decades to get there. Just worry about taking the next step. Pray as one who loves, even if love feels difficult. Act with hidden charity, even if recognition seems more appealing. Surrender to God's will, even if your own will protests. Each small yes leads you deeper into the castle, closer to the God who has been waiting there for you all along. There's something Teresa discovered in the deepest chamber of her soul that will take your breath away. After years of faithful practice, after countless moments of choosing love over comfort, surrender over control, God over self, she experienced what she called the mystical marriage, a union with the divine so intimate, so transformative, that her very identity became inseparable from Christ's love. But don't think this was reserved only for her. This is the destiny God dreams for every human soul. You might think this level of spiritual intimacy is impossible for someone like you, someone with a mortgage, family responsibilities, career pressures, and a heart that still struggles with ordinary human weaknesses. But Teresa would disagree. She insisted that the highest forms of prayer, the deepest experiences of divine love, are not reserved for professional religious people. They're available to anyone willing to faithfully practice the simple disciplines of loving God in prayer, serving others in charity, and surrendering daily to divine providence. The beautiful truth Teresa discovered is that God doesn't love you because you're holy. You become holy because God loves you. The mystical marriage isn't something you achieve through spiritual effort. It's something you receive through spiritual openness. Every time you choose to pray when you don't feel like it, every time you choose kindness when someone doesn't deserve it, every time you choose trust when circumstances seem chaotic, you're preparing the chambers of your heart for divine habitation. This isn't just mystical poetry. This is practical reality. Teresa lived the rest of her life from this place of union, not floating above human concerns, but engaging them with divine love. She reformed religious orders, wrote books, traveled dangerous roads, all while maintaining an interior life so deep that God's presence was more real to her than her own thoughts. This same transformation awaits you. Not escape from your life, but the discovery that your life, when lived in union with God, becomes a continuous prayer, a constant act of worship, a daily mystical experience. Here's what happens when you seriously embrace Teresa's 3 practices. The fire that begins in your own heart doesn't stay contained there. It spreads. Your family notices there's something different about you. You're more patient, more present, more at peace. Your co-workers sense a change. You handle stress differently, respond to criticism with unexpected grace, show up with a stability that others can't quite name but find themselves drawn to. This isn't about becoming preachy or religious in an obvious way. Teresa was known for her humor, her practicality, her ability to deal with the most mundane aspects of convent life while maintaining an interior life of extraordinary depth. The fire of divine love doesn't make you weird. It makes you more authentically human. It doesn't separate you from others. It enables you to love them with a love that's bigger than your own capacity, deeper than your own understanding. People will begin to ask you what's different. They'll want to know where your peace comes from, how you maintain hope in difficult circumstances, why you seem so free from the anxiety that plagues everyone else. This is your opportunity to share not just Teresa's teachings, but Teresa's Lord. You become living proof that the spiritual life isn't about escaping reality, but about engaging reality with divine resources. The woman who once struggled with prayer becomes a teacher of prayer. The person who once lived for recognition learns to find joy in hidden service. The soul that once grasped for control discovers the freedom of complete trust. This transformation isn't just for your benefit, it's for the benefit of everyone whose life you touch. Teresa understood that authentic spirituality is always contagious. When one heart catches fire with divine love, it inevitably ignites others. Today, you're not just honoring a saint, you're beginning a spiritual revolution that will ripple through your family, your community, and beyond. As this day draws to a close, carry with you the words that sustained Teresa through every trial, every doubt, every moment of darkness. Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things pass away, God alone suffices. This isn't just a beautiful prayer, it's a life philosophy that can anchor your soul in unshakable peace. Everything you're worried about today, all of it will pass. But the love you cultivate through prayer, the charity you practice in hiddenness, the trust you develop through surrender, these eternal realities will never pass away. Tonight, as you review your day, don't focus on how perfectly you performed these 3 practices. Focus instead on the grace that enabled you to try them at all. Teresa spent years thinking she was a failure at prayer, unworthy of God's love, incapable of the holiness she saw in others. What she didn't realize until much later was that God had been working in her all along, transforming her through the very struggles she thought disqualified her from divine intimacy. The same is true for you. Every imperfect prayer you offered today pleased the heart of God. Every small act of hidden kindness became a jewel in your eternal crown. Every moment of surrender, however brief, opened your soul a little wider to receive divine love. You didn't need to become a mystic today. You just needed to say yes to the possibility of becoming one. You didn't need to achieve sainthood by bedtime. You just needed to take the first steps on the